This video is sponsored by Skillshare, but more on them later. Check out this badass bass patch I made on my mini modular system. Not bad, right? Surprisingly simple, but just as surprisingly very difficult to make. And of course, the live current version of that is this. Right? Like I said, surprisingly simple, but just as surprising, it was difficult for me to make because I kept falling into the same trap that happens to me when I start using modular systems. And that was a lack of understanding one simple thing, and that is, what is enough? This is an insanely powerful question when making music, living day to day, motivating yourself, trying to break old bad habits or take on new ones. This can be applied to almost all levels across that entire journey. For me, I've applied it to a specific level of my modular systems and how they work for me in my studio, but I forgot to apply it to one step, and I ended up not using this mini modular system and even putting it away thinking I forgot how to use it. Also, quick shout out to 5 Watt World. Not sure if you're familiar, but he's spoken about this topic before in his What's Enough Amps video, linked down below. So today I wanted to share a lesson I went through with my system that I think you'd benefit from if you ever come across this monster. Also, please don't take this as a rule. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your life, but maybe see this as a checkpoint when you start questioning things in the process of making music. So, TLDR, I have my mini modular system and I'm happy with it. I also have some bigger cases that I almost never use, and that's because my small palette case is enough for me. Slowly though, I got out of line with my mini system by patching it so intensely that it became too much for me. There was too much going on. And I think a part of it was exploration, finding new rhythms and new sounds with the same system. And another part of it, as much as I hate to admit it, I think it was patching just for the sake of patching. Like, I had the cables available, I had the jacks empty, so to hell with it, let's keep going. And here's a quick side note too. I wonder if to an extent, if I'm just patching to patch, or if I'm just trying to explore, or if I'm just trying to impress others. Like, at a certain level, do I just want my modular system to look extra crazy with the cables, and I can talk about how cool my patch is because I've sent something to everywhere and it looks like I know what I'm doing and it's too complicated for the average musician to do. Like, am I just doing this to look cool? You know, that's one thing I'm still kind of rolling around in the old noodle. But back to the matter at hand. While patching and patching is really fun and of course a good way to learn your system, I often noticed how I wouldn't be able to use the patch in a track, and call it my novice musical ability or the lack of imagination, but what I think it really came down to was my threshold for enough being breached. It was not the sound I was looking for. There was just too much going on. Every time I used my system, I'd turn it on and almost instantly get to this point of too much. And after a lot of trial and error and a long modular break of, I'd say, about a month or two, I realized what was going on. I realized how to fix what was going on, how to avoid getting to that point again, and crucially, how to alleviate my gas of wanting to spend money on new modules, aka fix a simple issue by throwing money at it only to realize I have made things worse. But before we cover that, let me give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, Skillshare. In case you're not familiar, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity or just pick up some new skills. This is especially useful if you want to maybe make a career pivot or level up some skills with what you currently do. For example, me. I've recently come across this class I am super stoked on taking called YouTube Success, Script, Shoot, and Edit with MKBHD.
I think a lot of YouTubers get the question, how do you stay motivated or stay inspired, or why do you keep doing this? I'm excited to share my process, which I haven't really done before, because I identify as a self-taught filmmaker. I didn't go to film school.
If you don't already know who MKBHD is, he is a massive tech reviewer here on YouTube and easily my favorite of the bunch. In his class, he covers everything from start to finish on what it takes to make a video just like his, which is basically a cheat code for YouTube. So if Skillshare is something you've been interested in, make 2022 the year to step up to the plate and take a swing. Is that a saying? I feel like that's a saying. I don't watch baseball. But the first 1,000 people to use the link down in the description below will get a 1-month trial of Skillshare, which you could easily take 2, 3, maybe even 4 classes in that amount of time. No problem. Plus, all the content is ad-free. All right, let's get back into it. So, after setting my modular system in my closet for a few weeks, I got the itch again and brought it out and noticed I left the last patch I used plugged in. And that is when I realized what I was doing that discouraged me from making more music with it. It wasn't necessarily that I had the patch already made beforehand, but it was that I had gotten to a point where everything, where I wasn't unpatching anything and only adding to the chaos that was already there. So if my new base case for my system was unusable when I brought it out, majority of anything I would add on top of it would be, you guessed it, unusable. Congratulations. It's such a simple thing, but caused me, for the lack of a better term, issues when using my modular system. Quickly I understood that the patch was too complicated, and I wanted my system to do a simple bass patch with some simple modulation, but at some point I got lost in the sauce of modular synthesis and went down that rabbit hole that it could take you, and in that I lost my sights on the original goal. Now, there are incredible musicians out there who use nothing but modular, and they make amazing music, but I ain't that person. I use my modular as a band member in my music making process, so it needs to play well with others. And a lot of this applies to me specifically and the way that I'm using my system, because if you're trying to make some self-generative playing patches, I'm sure your patches will look like a rat's nest. But I'd argue that for most musicians, there is intent with where each cable goes. So again, a simple reminder to keep it simple. Okay, let's explore this bass patch and specifically how Osiris and Maestro have created this kind of slow evolving quantized melodic sequence without much of my input. But if you gotta go, it's all good. I hope to see you again next week though, and until then, my friend, you already know the drill. Share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Peace. So I'm here, right? I'm gonna go ahead and just solo this track. And what's really cool here is that I have track 6 of the Maestro sending a really slow down ramp at 130 seconds in slow mode, which I forget exactly what the measurement is, but it's pretty long, right? It's almost like, actually, I know exactly what it is. It is, I believe it's 32 bars, which is forever. I have it sending this really slow down ramp to Osiris, but what's great about Osiris is that it's volt per octave, which is receiving channel 6 of the Maestro. I have it set to quantize, so it's moving down in semitones. It's not that Maestro is stepping, it's that Osiris is taking that voltage and applying it to the next available note closest to that voltage amount. So listen, it's right here, right? And the down. If I turn off quantize, you hear it's just continuous, but with it on. Right? Right, and then I got even weird with it and kind of added some like peak thing to try and follow it, which of course. Don't ask, this song is weird. I know, I make some weird stuff once in a while. Right, what's funny though, is I've also done like a little halftime section. Let me go ahead and mute this peak track. Turn up the decay. And then I have track 5, moving really fast, moving the wave Y position of Osiris. And shout out, I cannot remember your name right now, but someone left a comment on my last Maestro video talking about in the latest update there are internal attenuation on each of the channels. So I technically don't even need the sync to Pharaoh to modulate the LFOs, because when Maestro was first released, the LFOs went from 5 to 0 or +5 to -5 or something, like the full range, and you had to rein it in with something else. But now, if I go and look at, if I press these two together, track 6, I have it set to like 10% output, so it's moving very slowly. If I set this to 100%, listen to this. Right, it's moving through the whole pitch. But I can set it to 50%. And again, you hear it kind of stepping weirdly through the semitones in its own time, somewhat unquantized from what the actual beat is doing. And then I can set it to, I believe it's 25%. Right, and if I wanted to, let's say, reset it there, I can take output D. Right, so we can say output D, we'll edit this to this. Let me reset this time. Right, okay, cool. So then I'm gonna just put a trigger right here at the beginning. Let's make sure our probability is all the way up. Now that it receives that trigger, right, and we can go back to 5, which is moving wave 5's knob. And churn up its attenuation. I don't even know what 5 is set to. Let's see. 5 is set to a down ramp. Oh, that's cool. Up ramp on the wide movement. And we can go back to this and set it. This is just pitch. Dude, that's kind of cool. Let me go ahead and stop this clip real quick. Anyway, this is the really simple bass patch that I got going on. There's not a lot going on. It looks complicated, but it's really simple. I just have tempo and sync coming from live, and that's running steppy. Steppy is triggering the mimetic, but I am not using the mimetic at all in this case. Like, I can completely get rid of this, and this. Look at that. Look at this whole section missing. When was the last time you saw me not using mimetic and scales? Very rare. Very, very rare. I'm not even using sync Pacina and sync to Pharaoh. I'm just using Maestro, MMF, Osiris. 6 LFOs, really only using 3 of them. Actually kind of 4 because I'm moving the cutoff a little bit, but not that much. And then a voice. Because number 2, if we play back 2, if I go and listen to 2, I got a chain on there moving the filter cutoff a little crazy. but I don't have it that much. I just turned off all the attenuation, the internal attenuation. I just have it around here or even here, which I think is like 12.5%. It's so subtle. Then we can go back to A. And we can say, make it really poppy. And I'll take the swing off that, make it dead center. You don't always need swing, pro tip. Listen to that, way better. With swing, it's a little too fast, right? Even a little bit of swing, you kind of don't know where to land with it. But with no swing, right on the money. Anyway, I appreciate you a lot.